By Wednesday morning, the healing woman felt her energy tapering into the kind of tiredness she had come to know well. It was not the fatigue of lost sleep or physical overexertion. It was the quieter exhaustion that settled in after 2 straight days of serving strangers, smiling, checking in, absorbing unspoken expectations and conversation without pause. Her shifts at the restaurant had gone smoothly, but she'd paid for it in fragments of her spirit. Every guest she'd made feel comfortable, every subtle adjustment she'd made to match someone's mood or pace, had taken a little more than it gave back. Now, after waving her son off to school with a warm hug and a knowing glance, she stood in her small apartment and listened to the silence. It filled the space like soft fabric, welcoming, non-judgmental. She breathed it in. This would be a day to recharge alone, without any roles to perform. She needed to feel invisible to the world, yet present in her own skin. She reached for her camera, then paused and added something new to her bag. A freshly bound photography book with smooth, clean pages and a crisp spine. It had been a gift, not handed down, not secondhand, but purchased just for her, by a customer she had come to appreciate in the quietest way. He was an older man, a regular who always came in around lunchtime and took his time once there. He ordered tea with sugar, always specifying not to stir, and lingered long after his meal, reading or simply observing the room without distraction. He wasn't chatty, but he had a calming presence, and over the weeks, they had built a mutual respect through brief, sincere exchanges. Not long ago, he had asked her what she enjoyed outside of work. She had told him, hesitantly at first, that she was learning photography, nature mostly. She liked how it helped her see what others walked past. He had nodded. The next time he came in, he placed a wrapped book beside his check. "I saw this the other day," he said with quiet certainty. "Thought it might be useful." She waited until she was home that evening to open it. Inside, she found a comprehensive photography guide, not limited to nature or landscapes, but covering everything from lighting and motion to portraits, urban contrast, and depth of field. There were chapters on gear, creative framing, and how to see both technically and emotionally. No inscription, just a handwritten note tucked between pages. "I'm proud of you. Keep going." That message stayed with her as she arrived at the preserve late that morning, her boots crunching softly on gravel, the air already warming beneath a gauzy sheet of clouds. She didn't need dramatic light today. She needed the kind that lingered softly on leaves and drifted between branches like breath. The kind of light that let her move slowly and without aim. The wooded trail welcomed her. Towering oaks, maples, and hemlocks arched above her, their early autumn leaves flickering green and gold. A few birds called from unseen perches, nuthatches, jays, a flicker in the distance. The scent of damp bark and moss met her as she stepped deeper into the trees, and with each stride, her shoulders lowered just slightly, her breath slowing. She wasn't here to take hundreds of photos, just to practice, just to notice. One section of the trail curved gently around a rise, and there she paused, tilting her head upward. The canopy above was a tangle of limbs and shifting light, a ceiling of soft geometry. She set her bag down, knelt on the moss-covered ground, then gently lowered herself onto her back. Her camera rested against her chest, and the trees overhead framed the sky like the ribs of a living cathedral. She thought back to a section in the book that talked about balance between motion and stillness, between foreground and negative space. She adjusted her settings, narrowed her frame, and pressed the shutter. Not just once, but with intention, each photo building on the last, guided by patience and care. A chipmunk rustled in the underbrush nearby, pausing on a log before darting off again. High above, a red-tailed hawk circled once before vanishing into the clouds. She took none of that for granted. These moments didn't need to be captured to be felt. As the breeze moved softly through the treetops, she sat up and pulled the book from her bag. She flipped to a page she had read over breakfast, a section on grounding your perspective by lying low, seeing upward, and letting the landscape give shape to the space around you. Her finger traced the edge of the page as she reread the paragraph, and her mind wandered briefly to the man at the tea-stained table, reading a paperback as though no time ever pressed him. She smiled. Not everyone noticed the quiet potential in someone else. Fewer still acted on it. She photographed 2 more angles before rising to her feet, stretching her arms slowly overhead. The ache in her shoulders remained, but it was no longer heavy. It was purposeful, the kind that came from effort spent on something that mattered. On her walk back to the car, she stopped one last time beneath a cluster of white pines, tall and symmetrical. She looked up and captured one final image, the branches reaching toward one another, the sky framed in their embrace. That night, as she reviewed her images at the kitchen table, her tea steeping beside her, she found one photo that stopped her. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. And when the older man returned on Friday for his long, slow lunch, she'd greet him with a smile and say, "I practiced. I think I'm getting better." He would nod, lift his tea with sugar, and say something like, "That's all that matters." And for her it truly was.